Eric, I remember it like it was yesterday. Young David being told it's time for bed. Okay, Mom. I hop in bed, wait for everyone to go to sleep. I reach under my pillow and pull out my Sega Game Gear. I was playing MLB baseball. I was always the Atlanta Braves.
Nice.
I think I played it so much because I never won. It was like 3-25. But here's, as my mom listens, I want to know if she knew I was up doing that. Game on. My first memory was the Nintendo. Mm-hmm. This is the console where the top flipped open and you put the cartridge in. I just have memories of, Super Mario 3, the raccoon hat, things like that. And then, of course, Duck Hunt. Mm-hmm. I never had the thing that the glove, the power gloves. And then I think there was also something you could step on.
Yeah, I think there was.
I didn't have any of that, but we definitely had Duck Hunt and just a slew of just Nintendo cartridges. So those are some of my early memories.
That's what started the era of blowing in the cartridge.
Yeah.
Like that was the core one, and I feel like it carried through to the Nintendo 64, the Super Nintendo, the Sega. I feel like it carried through to everything. Anything cartridge, you thought blowing in it, somehow kid spit would fix it.
Yeah, right.
I love the Power Glove. It's so bad.
I do remember being very, very, very jealous of any kid who had the Game Boy Color.
Oh, yeah.
Were you one of those kids? You have the OG Game Boy? Do you have the Game Boy Color?
Oh, here's what's funny is I was just jealous of just hearing you reminisce of the original one. I was jealous because I wanted one of those so dang bad. But for some reason, my parents would let me play the console like as much as I want.
Okay.
Within certain parameters. But for some reason, they had it in their mind. I don't know if they watched like a Phil Donahue or a Walter Cronkite or somebody telling them that it's going to fry my brains. But like the original Game Boy, no matter how much I asked, that was never, I didn't get it. My sister didn't get it. So when I would come across a friend that had one, I would look at it so longingly that I'm just like, oh my God.
All the power and excitement of Nintendo right in the palm of your hand. Introducing Game Boy.
The weird thing is that even though my parents didn't let me get a Game Boy, I had a ton of those handheld ones that you could get like at any toy store.
Yes,
that was like even worse of a calculator screen.
Oh,
and it was like you could get like Double Dragon and you're like, oh, I got Double Dragon, but it didn't look like the Nintendo NES version. Right. But it was good enough and it had the cool graphics around the border.
Sticker type graphic, or maybe it was painted on. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like the battery life was so short-lived on those. But I feel like I
Insert battery dying sound.
The second you put a new battery in, you got about 30 seconds, and then it already says that it's out.
Your little character, if it died, it would be still kind of pixelated on the screen.
It would only like load half of him. Yeah, I remember that.
It's the hard knock life for us.
See, shout out to my mom, I will say, and I'm gonna give her praise and also knock on this a little bit because I didn't get the Game Boy Color, but instead we got the second tier version. We got the Game Gear, which when I speak of it though, it is such a joy. Like I that memory rings true. I would play it every night. It was basically a Game Boy Color, but they decided to make it horizontal in your hands.
Okay.
So you had probably a smaller screen than the Game Boy Color, but the handheld was the size of roughly a yacht. It was so big.
I think it was 95 when the Sega Genesis came out, so I was 10. And I feel like when you get like 10, 11, 12, you don't want to feel like a little kid anymore. Like you feel very different. Like, sure. I'm heading into middle school.
I'm double digits.
Yeah, I'm double digits. I'm important. Just the way they advertise Sega as opposed to how they advertise Nintendo, I was like, oh, Nintendo's for babies.
This is a baby's toy.
It's a baby's toy.
That's like a baby's toy.
Sega Genesis introduced me to Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was one of those things that my parents saw the game and just assumed, oh yeah, we're in martial arts. He likes martial arts. Let him play the martial arts game. And I think once they started seeing me unlocking cheat codes for like ripping out somebody's spine and like crazy stuff, it's just like, oh wait, this isn't just like a fighting game.
Blood dripping from the ceiling of the spikes and stuff like that.
Yeah, so many different things. But
who was your favorite fighter?
I would
Kombat?
have to say that I feel like I went between Sub-Zero and Scorpion.
Okay.
I was a ninja kid.
I was basic. I was Liu Kang for sure. Because
Well,
love
he's
Liu
Bruce
Kang.
Lee. Like,
yeah, totally.
yeah.
And then I was Raiden because Raiden always looked so sick when he'd put his arms up in the air and
Yeah, and he kind of teleported around the screen. Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing that escaped me from the N64, because I think it was ungodly expensive and also like almost like a collectible.
Yeah.
I never had, I think it was called Atomic Purple Shock, the controller.
Oh,
and I think they even made a console, the same, and you could like almost see inside it.
Yeah.
When but again, maybe that was and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know, but maybe that was the first like iteration of here's the original console.
Right.
And now we're making another one. Are you going to go out and buy it?
Yeah.
But I never had that.
I think that was also the era of that they figured out how to make plastic like see-through instead of just being gray and black of all the previous consoles. They're like, we're going to make it transparent and you could see all the things in it.
Merchandising.
And I remember the PlayStation being out, and I remember the talk of Sega Dreamcast. And because I loved Sega Genesis so much,
Sure.
I convinced my parents Sega Dreamcast is where we should go. And history tells us that I made a horrible decision.
You chose poorly.
I did. Yes, and I just then vaporized.
Yeah.
You chose poorly.
I do have a ton of college memories centered around the PlayStation 2.
Okay.
I remember, did you ever play 007 Nightfire?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That also had the 4-screen that you could do. My friend Brandon and Brian and I, we would skip class, and he would just like in the middle of the game, if he got killed or something, like he would go down to the kitchen and he'd fire up some like leftover meatloaf that his mom made, and we'd be sitting there just like eating meatloaf, playing 007 Nightfire, skipping class. Like it was the good old days, man.
I love that it's not pizza rolls.
No,
I love
meatloaf.
that it's not bagel bites. It's meatloaf. I love that.
You know what? I will have some meatloaf. Let's have some meatloaf. You want some? Yes. I need. Hey, Mom! The meatloaf!
Okay, so I don't know if I made fun of you with the meatloaf or not, but you can make fun of me now. We would get pints of Ben and Jerry's, and we'd go to like a Blockbuster or something. We'd rent games we liked, or he'd bring a game over, and I had a game. I was playing on the PS3, and he was playing on his Xbox. We'd get pints of Ben and Jerry's, Cherry Garcia, and then Walmart would sell party-sized things of croissants.
That's so random.
Think of that black plastic and then a clear casing, right, that popped up to store all that. We'd buy that, and that's what and 1 pound bag of peanut M&Ms.
I'm on board for the peanut M&Ms. A party pack size of croissants.
Dude, we lived off those croissants. Oh.
You really are crazy. I'm hungry.
Well, that kind of leads us into having our special geek to talk about his memories for just retro gaming. So David, do you want to introduce our special geek?
So yeah, our special geek today is Paul. And I've known Paul for over 5 years, and Eric's got to know Paul over the last year and a half, I feel, maybe 2 years. Mm-hmm. But one thing we all love is gaming, and I would love to hear his retro gaming memories. So here's Paul.
Growing up, my dad, especially my dad, hated video games, and he called them the idiot box. Yeah, your brain's gonna go to mush.
Right, it's gonna fry your brains. Yeah.
And so we didn't have a system, but the neighbors did.
Oh,
They had all the systems. And so we played, I did at one point play Atari. We played Nintendo, the original NES, like a ton.
Right.
Super Nintendo, a ton. So I have a lot of memories of that. But I would say my very first memory is that old clunky PC.
Yeah, it's funny. That's one of those examples of there's always a balance in the universe. Where there's a household that doesn't have a gaming system, there's a neighbor that has all of them.
Yeah, well, just keep your power gloves off her, pal, huh?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you had your friends, you guys were playing around the system. Did you all have like, okay, this guy is really good at the bosses, so we're gonna pass the remote over to him, and then this is like one of those time trials. We're gonna give it to him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like with our powers combined, we can beat this game. That's totally what it was.
By your powers combined, I am Captain Planet.
Yeah, it does make you wonder what our future, senior living homes will be as millennials and Gen Xers. That I think it's just a bunch of 90-year-old people, arguing over which character you chose, whether or not you get croissants or meatloaf or.
That'd be a great time to actually pull in the meatloaf on croissant sandwiches.
That's great. Yeah, combining nostalgia. I love it.
All right. Well, that was our Special Geek Paul. That was a lot of fun. I think we have a new name for the podcast, though. The Idiot Box. I was dying when he said that.